So white Europeans are, that's the goal, is to replace them. The New York Times first wrote about this in 2018, so it's not a conspiracy theory. Klaus Schwab and the WEF have spoken about it at length. So there is a goal here of a great reset. And
what we have to confront is a deep, systemic, and structural restructuring of our world. And this will take some time. And the world will look differently after we have gone through this transition process.
And you think that the replacement theory is some bullcrap idea that right-wing conspiracy people came up with? No, Chuck Schumer, Biden, Obama, all of them talk about it.
The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamer.
Not only our Muslim communities, but African communities, Asian communities, Hispanic communities, and the wave still continues. It's not going to stop, nor should we want it to stop. Folks like me who are Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. Absolute minority. Fewer than 50% of the people in America from then and on will be white European stock.
Let me give you just a little bit of data so you have an understanding that it's happening. We're witnessing it real time. December 2023, we had 302,000 American natural native births, meaning 302,000 American babies. In December, we arrested 372,000 illegal aliens, and we released over 359,000 of them.
We are dedicated to securing our border. It is my testimony that the border is secure. The border is secure. The border is not open. It has not been open. The border is closed. The border is secure. The border is secure.
We are in December alone in a net negative of 57 to 58,000 people. So you are being replaced, America.
Welcome to Behind Enemy Lines. So if you're not familiar with the Great Replacement Theory, you're going to be familiar with it by the time we're done with the show, and you should have been familiar with it before because it's real. Regardless of what the crazy, radical, leftist Democrats tell you, it's real, it's happening, it's planned. Oh, and by the way, these are the same people who tell us that men can have babies. So are we going to believe them?
Trust the science, Terry.
Huh?
Trust the science, Terry. Come on.
Yes,
don't be a bigot.
So our next guest, I love this guy, not in the LGBTQ way. He's been on the show before. And so J.J. Carroll is a retired U.S. Border Patrol agent. He served 24 years, rising to the Deputy Patrol Agent in Chicago, in charge of the San Diego sector, drawing on frontline and senior leadership experience across multiple presidential administrations. He's become a vocal critic of the U.S. border and immigration policies, including the current ones, which he just finished working for them. He's the author of the Amazon bestsellers, Invaded, the Intentional Destruction of the American Immigration System, and Treason, the Biden administration's strategic and malicious destruction of America's sovereignty. By the way, I was in his documentary. He also produced two documentaries, What is Treason? Trafficked, and what is Treason? Invaded, which focus on border security, human trafficking, and related policy issues. November 2024, Carroll testified before the House Committee on Homeland Security and subcommittees on border security and enforcement and oversight, investigations, and accountability in the hearing titled Trafficked, Exploited and Missing Migrant Children, Victims of the Biden-Harris Administration. He frequently appears on media interviews and continues to speak and write on border security and immigration issues. It's my buddy JJ. That's a lot,
Jerry?
man. JJ, I didn't even read all that much.
I know. I was like, where did you get that? Did you get that from me?
You know?
So I appreciate you having me on and the topic that you asked me to come talk about. So I'm excited about it. It's good to see you. You are a crazy man. You haven't changed since I watched you on me and Ryan Madden met you, and then everything I see on X. You haven't changed a bit. You're still throwing gasoline on the fire and just saying screw it.
Yes. Thank you. So someone has to. Yeah, maybe turn my sound up here. It's a little crazy in the sound. So thank you very much. And that clip was, important. If you don't mind, why don't you give the Great Replacement Theory for Dummies? Remember, a lot of my friends from the South Side are watching this, so give us a kind of an overview of the Great Replacement Theory for Dummies, so people that are not familiar with it and might have, the first time heard about this, and just give a level set on what that is. I think a lot of them are going to be opening their eyes of what occurred in the last 4 years in Chicago. You have to be blind. You have to be blind or a Democrat not to realize it's really happening. And we heard Mayorkas say, right, the borders are open. I mean, the borders are closed. The borders are closed. I mean, come on, people. They're saying that in purpose. They're trying to lie to us about everything from COVID to that to, so give us a little level set of what that means to you, so these people have understanding.
Well, the Great Replacement is started over in Europe, and they've been flooding their countries with Muslims, third worlders from Africa, the continent of Africa and the Middle East. In America, what we've done in the replacement theory started in 1965. People think it just happened under Joe Biden. The Hart-Celler Act in 1965, if you can imagine having a faucet, you just turned off on the left faucet. All the immigration that was happening in the United States of America, almost 99% of it, was from white European nations. In 1965, a Republican and a Democrat, so this is always a uniparty issue, and championed by Ted Kennedy, the Lion of the Senate, the murderer, Ted Kennedy. They turned off the spigot to white Europeans, and if you can imagine, turned on a not another spigot like the cold water. They knocked over a fire hydrant, and they flooded our country with third worlders from Africa, the continent, the Middle East, and Latin America, and they have gone nonstop since 1965 to present day. Now, under Joe Biden's term, in 4 years, he brought in 30 million people. People used to scoff at me when I used to say that, like, "Oh, I don't believe." Okay, then once you catch up to me and get out of your ignorance, that's fine. Donald Trump is now finally saying, "Well, it's about 25 million." Now there's agreement. Yeah, it could be 30. It might be 40 million in
Good
4
Lord.
years. So we're looking at right now, just so your audience has a good, solid picture, and this is conservative. Okay, we have 340 million people in America, American citizens, through the census in 2020. Currently, right now, we have over 50 million illegal aliens in America. That is conservative. At the same time, we have 55 million foreign nationals here on legal visas. That's 105 million. You have minimum 20 to 25 million foreign national children born in the United States of America. I don't care what those 3 disgusting lesbians and the soccer mom in the Supreme Court came up with the other loser in the Republican side of the Supreme Court. Birthright citizenship is a lie. So you have about 125 million people here that are foreigners. Basically, 1 in 4 bleeding into 1 in 3 residents in America is illegal alien. And the vast majority, almost all of these people, are not white. They're not white Christians from Europe. We have, when people say the replacement theory and we are beginning to be replaced, no, you missed the point. We are replaced. And when you look at the birth rates, we are in a death spiral as a nation. Blacks and whites are about 1.6-ish. Hispanics are a little bit higher than us, but Americans as a whole, we are in a death spiral in the replacement level. You have to be 2.1. Anything under 1.8 is death. We're below the dead, like a carcass. We're done.
Yeah.
At the same time, we brought in all these illegal aliens, and they're having babies, up to 10 babies per woman. It's over, people. You don't have to like me as a messenger. You can despise everything I'm saying. You call me a white nationalist, whatever the hell you want. I don't care. Kill the messenger, but you can't touch the message, because what I'm telling you is factually true.
Yeah, and you know what? It's not racist to say, you're sharing the facts, right? But they're going to call it racist anyway. You're sharing the facts, you're sharing the numbers, and those don't lie. The facts and numbers don't lie. What people have to understand is, say that the 25, 30, whatever million came in, whatever number you think that is, these people are having their quote anchor babies as soon as they could come over here. they're doing as quick as possible as further insurance to come here. Everyone knows about the Muslims. They have the highest rate. They have their highest rate of children, and they're doing it for a reason. And also, when they come here, thank our Democrats who brought them here, right? Invited them here, want them to be future Democrats. They're also teaching them how to play our system, how to take money from us to repay for their babies. Then we pay for them from cradle to grave, pretty much. Look what the Somalis did. I mean, those people are inbred morons, right? And they stole billions. They're inbred idiots.
Yeah.
And if you don't like that, to JJ's point, too fucking bad. They are inbred fools that are lucky to get a job as Uber, and they're taking billions from us because one Somalian teaches the other. They learn it and they go forward with it. And it's happened across the board, just like the stuff Mike and I had. We caught medical fraud here recently, JJ. The office, it's a Muslim. It's still open. He left and ran. I found bags and bags of Blue Cross explanation of benefit, bags full of them. And they're charging Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, and they're playing our system.
Yeah, but guys, the pushback that I'm going to have for you is nobody's doing anything.
Right.
We have the House and the Senate and the President, and we haven't arrested a damn person. So that makes me, as somebody did law enforcement for 25 years, an investigator. My only conclusion is that the Republicans and the president are colluding with the Democrats. There's no other explanation. You can't tell me anything else.
It certainly seems that way. And you're exactly right. Like there is no excuse at this point. We're over a year and a half in. There have been no serious arrests. I'm glad they can mop up some of these Somali pirates that were defrauding us, but I don't really care about them. I care about the elected and unelected bureaucrats that put this system in place and made it all possible. And to your point too, with this invasion, it doesn't just affect the white Americans. It affects the blacks. It affects all the U.S. citizens and everybody that came here legally. And part of it is they're dumping in people from low trust societies. When we had immigration that was primarily from Europe, or even as somebody else was pointing out, we had high numbers from Japan in the 60s. But you didn't have all of a sudden, the Yakuza popping up and bringing crime here from Japan or anything like that. They came from another high trust society. They wanted to come here. They wanted to be successful. They came here to be Americans. People today are not assimilating. The Muslims specifically are putting up mosques, forward operating base. They are not here to assimilate. They are here to conquer, just as we've seen in Europe since they opened the floodgates there. I was just listening to something earlier today. It talked about how 10 years ago, that all of England had something like 300 and some odd mosques, and now it's approaching nearly 10,000. I mean, this is insane. That's in a 10-year time period.
Yeah, we have 300 in Illinois now. We have 295 mosques in Illinois.
But you make a great point. Terry touched on it, and you just said it, Mike. The high trust society. So, in culture, I want your audience to understand. Since 1965, and more so under Joe Biden's 4 years, we brought in tens of millions of people that have an IQ below 70.
Yeah.
The demarcation for retardation in the 70s and 80s was 85, but we lowered it because too many minorities are being captured in it. So we brought it down to 70. The people from Somalia, from the Middle East, from the continent of Africa, they're below 70, guys. Some of them are in their 40s and 50s. I could get a dolphin and a pig, a swine that has more ability to communicate and to learn than they do. And I want the audience to understand tens of millions of those people are here in our country, and they are having babies at an alarming rate. So we effectually, and I don't care how this sounds, we imported tens of millions of people that are medically deemed retarded. Yeah. Tell me how that benefits America.
Right. They're doing the jobs Americans don't want to do, right?
Sure.
I'm being sarcastic.
I know you are. I did my thesis on this when I got my master's. I did it partly on the lie of immigration and the economy. Do you know the largest segment of our economy that has the largest percentage of illegal aliens in it? It's not service, it's construction. How much?
Yes.
People go, well, it's like 67. No, it's 13%. So are you telling me that when I have a job site that has 100 construction workers and 13 go missing because ICE got them, your business shuts down? No, that's a lie. Everything that we have been taught I'm going to speak for me. Everything that I have been taught in my 50 plus years, and I mean everything, is a lie. I don't believe in anything. There's nothing I believe. You believe we went to the moon and landed with the crepe paper machine? No. Do you believe Building 7 just fell down because there was a strong breeze in New York City? No. Do you believe COVID happened because a bunch of Chinese were eating live bats? I mean, what more do you need as an American to understand your government, my government is the enemy? Our government is the enemy.
And has been. You know, they've been railroading all of us for a very long time on a lot of things, but they've gotten to the point, and we are at the breaking point now. Like we will not be able to continue as a nation if something is not done about this in the immediate future. Like we need mass deportations yesterday, and we need to stop being the world's welfare check. We can't be doing any more foreign aid anywhere. I mean, you look at the changes in South America, just cutting USAID. You know, I wonder if all of these communist regimes in South America are all being propped up with our tax dollars, because they all seem to be crumbling now all of a sudden. We got to start looking out for ourselves and do what's in our best interest, and have other countries do the same, and the whole world will be a better place. We don't need 30 million people with room temperature IQ. That doesn't help us.
No, and I only got to JJ's point. I only got into politics like 4 years ago. So when my kids were freshmen in high school, they just finished freshman year of college, and I was never active. And then, you know, once I got involved a little bit in the politics, and then this show and all these different guests we have on, like JJ and stuff. Before Trump, I thought the deep state was kind of out there, you know, sort of, you know, not a big deal. I thought preppers were whack job, fringe type people. Mm-hmm. Now I did a 180, right? I mean, a lot of these conspiracy theories are true. Not all of them. Some people go to the extreme. I think a lot of them are true. And I think that we're headed for trouble. I do believe the preppers. I wish I was, you know, organized enough to be one myself, but I think that those people are doing the right things for the right reasons. And I think unless something dramatically happens, Trump is only a Band-Aid. He's only a little tiny little Band-Aid that bought us a little. It's like having, you know, chemotherapy to keep you alive with cancer, right? I mean, it's coming. And unless something dramatically happens, to JJ's point, nobody's doing anything. We're talking about it. I'll go out and confront a bunch of assholes on the corner, you know, start trouble with them. We'll bring it up. Nobody's getting arrested. There's not enough being done. We've been demonized on our side to not even being able to talk about this. If you talk about it, you're a racist, white supremacist, all these crazy things. So then other people who might want to agree with us are scared because the media controls the narrative, and so they don't help us.
Well, I guess the real thing that needs to be discussed is all the people that believe the same things that we believe, they just need to grab their balls and just be a man. That's just the truth. I'm so beyond. Look, I did the Border Patrol for 24 years as a big, strong white guy in a Hispanic dominated world. I was called all these vile things. I don't care. It has no meaning. They tell me you're a racist and you're a white nationalist because I want a nation that is 90% white Christians from Europe. What's wrong with that? If I went to Japan right now and said, hey, listen, all you Japanese, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to flood your country. I'm not going to flood it with white trash. I'm going to flood it with the highest quality white people from America. I'm going to bring 55% of your total population of white people. And we're going to be Christians, and we want McDonald's, and we want all that. You know what they would do? They'd be on their shores waiting for us to kill us. Why? Because we would destroy their culture. So why do I, as a white man, have to sit here and listen to people pontificate to me about the death of the white man, and I'm supposed to not only smile and take it, I'm supposed to cheerlead my own death and my son and my future grandchildren. Go F off. It's not going to happen. If I'm the only one, guys, that's fine. But my son's never going to look at me and say, Dad, why were you such a quiet coward? He's never going to say that about me. Never.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit before the show about, you know, that Hispanic, Antifa Hispanic pencil that I called him Gator Mouth at the Ice Center, you know, calling me racist. So he pivots to racist. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Call me racist. I don't care. Call me whatever you want. You know, just because we're happy, you know, we're nationalists. People love our country, right? What made it great and stuff. Oh, we happen to be white. So then you're a white nationalist, which means you're a bad person.
Well, I'm a white nationalist, and you can stick it up your ass because I don't care. This is who I am. Let me just ask you a question. If I showed you America in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, going into the 80s, and we were 90% white. 90% white. No one locked their doors in their cars. No one locked their doors in their houses. We had the economy was roaring. You had one person that was the homemaker and one person that worked. Your kids went to all the schools. No one got shot. No one did anything. And then compare that with today, with white population being under 55%, and tell me which America was better. Go ahead. I dare you. I'm challenge everyone. This is what I do when I go on interviews. I just say, this is the facts. You don't like my facts. That's fine. Then why don't you come back and tell me where I'm wrong? And there's always silence. I want that. And how do I get that? You mentioned it. Donald Trump's not the answer. He's definitely not the answer. He doesn't have the stones or the will to do what's needed to be done. What has to happen in America is it's going to be shock and awe. We have stage 4 cancer, guys. There is no, we're going to get a little chemo drip and then we're going to, no. I have to cut your body open and I have to take a scalpel, but I'm going to cut you up because you are infected with cancer. That's what America is. It's infected with a stage 4 cancer. It is going to be bloody painful to eradicate this cancer. And I don't know, and I don't believe America is at that point yet that they're ready to eradicate the cancer. I think that we're all in this fantasy that, hey, you know what, a little chemo and radiation is going to be just fine. No. We're dying. We're dying.
We got too soft, JJ. We got way too soft. One of my gauges when people, we have this discussion like we are, or other people talking about the fight, the battle, the war, right? My little easy gauge is when I walked into this, when kids were going into freshman year, first about the forced masking by Pritzker, right? And then I saw these graphic blowjob pictures and books and anal sex. I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. This is in my kids' schools? So I started fighting against it, speaking up. I had those posters made that launched me, national, because I had the blowjob posters, right? I couldn't find a single father that was willing to hold the poster for me to say this doesn't belong in his own daughter or son's school. I couldn't find one dad of a massive high school to hold the fucking poster. What did I do? I had Proud Boys come and hold it for me. I had them come as fathers. They were a lightning rod at the time, right? I said, guys, would you do me a favor? And their dads too and stuff. I said, would you hold these signs for me? They're like, yeah, sure. I go, don't wear your Proud Boy shit. Don't do your okay signs. Just hold the posters. So they come, they hold the posters. Got my message across, but the left, the Sun-Times, the media brutally attacked me, racist, white supremacist, Proud Boys. They said nothing about being Proud Boys. I could not get a father to hold the damn poster. So when we're getting it, and this battle becomes more serious, that we're all having this discussion and we're concerned, if you can't get a father to simply say a blowjob picture doesn't belong in your child's school, you are sure the fuck not going to help us fight to save the country. You're not. No. It's just, it's not going to happen. I don't know what the answer is, JJ. We're doing this stuff. This is part of why we do what we're doing. But how, we got soft. The men got soft. Everybody, the country got soft. Our parents, from when they came over, my grandparents from Italy, they tried to do better every generation. And unfortunately, what comes with that? It's getting soft, even if you didn't mean to do it on purpose. And we've got soft. People don't want to sacrifice. They're bitching about the gas being high with that, Iran and what's going on. Back in World War II, the women were working their asses off. 18-year-olds were getting killed, murdered, losing everything to fight for the country. And now we got a little bitching about Starbucks coffee and a gallon of gas.
Well, I do believe that we're a soft nation. However, I gauge things on how things start, people talking about it. So for a long time, I've been talking about the white erasure of America, and everybody that would talk to me about it, they were very nervous about me talking about it, even though it has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with it has to do with race, but it has to do with America. Who are we? Yeah. Do I get a say in how my country's going to be? I'm owner of this. Donald Trump wants to give away our freedoms, as he said, in order to get security. Well, no, you don't have the right to remove my freedoms. Those are my freedoms under my Constitution. So, but the thing that I'm beginning to see now, and I did a show on it today on my podcast, is people are coming out and they're just saying the truth now. Things that I never thought would be said 6 months ago are now openly talking about, get your guns, get ready to go to war, be ready to kill people, be able to physically fight. And I'm like, holy smokes, I have never seen this. And it's not one person, it's not two, it is tons and tons and tons. Because here's the thing, guys, the three of us can literally take a knee, watch everybody get raped and murdered by non-whites in America. As we look at the data, I'm a big data guy. All the data says everything I'm saying is 100% true. And it's worse than that because the federal government, which I was a part of for 25 years and which I had to do because the computers would only let me do this, we had to categorize white, black and brown people as white. So whatever DOJ or FBI data that you see is 100% lie. 100% lie. The vast majority of all crimes in America are committed by black and brown people in America, period. And I'm a guy that 25 years in law enforcement. I know what the hell I'm talking about. But people are talking openly about the white erasure of America, and they're getting pissed off and they're getting resentful because under Joe Biden, we saw less than 6% of white men were hired for the S&P 500 jobs in over 4 years. 6%. We're watching our children go to college, and my white son is going to have an enormous test score on the SAT. However, Donald Trump's bringing in 600,000 Chinese nationals to compete with my son. So why are we allowing this, Mike? Why are we allowing the foreigners to take our position in our country? And then when you say something, I'm the bad guy. Well, you can go pound sand. I don't give a shit. I'm not the bad guy. I'm actually going to be, history's going to show men like me were the very few people that had the courage to just say the truth, period.
You're exactly right. And what we're watching is our culture being erased, American culture being erased, because it's the blacks, it's the whites, it's everybody. And I think this open border really illustrated it. When you look at areas like even Springfield, Ohio, where they eat the cats and dogs, they dump in 20,000 Haitians up there. Now, it wasn't a majority black city like Dayton is here where I live, but it's probably about 40%. And they got hit the hardest. That's who lost jobs. That's who lost housing. That's who lost access to services. That's who was most affected. They don't care. I mean, the same thing they realized in Chicago on the South Side when they start dumping in everybody from Venezuela, all these TDA gangsters in there. They lose their community centers. They lose everything else. They don't care about native-born Americans, natural Americans, black, white, or whatever. I want to mention one other thing because you brought up Japan too. You know, their prime minister over there, what's her name? Something Takachi, Sane Takachi or something like that. You know, right now they are beginning to export. They are removing remigration. That's the new key term. All the Pakistanis, everybody from the Middle East, everybody from India.
Are they?
Yep, they are doing mass deportations right now. Also, their citizens are sick of the Islamification that's going on there. Certain, what do they call them, prefectures there, they were ignoring illegal mosques in their country. You're not allowed to build a mosque or an Islamic cemetery in Japan. Some of the prefectures were allowing it. So the citizens are taking that into their own hands. They're burning them down right now. It's happened at least twice. One of them just got jury nullification. The jury refused to convict him, even though he got caught on camera twice setting fires. Like, well, you know what? If the government's not going to do their job, I guess it's up to us to do it. And you're right. More and more people are thinking this way. And this is also why I think, this rise with flock surveillance and other things. It's a way to strip us of our rights, keep us in check, and have the police state necessary to control a bunch of people that do not have the first world mentality, that do not come from a high trust society. You're going to need constant surveillance and you're going to need constant pressure or something is going to happen.
You know what? My grandparents came from Italy, and Italy is now like reaching out to people. Like, I could get a dual citizenship now. I don't know if you guys know that. My grandparents from Italy. If I was younger, I would do it. I'm like, I've got one foot in the grave, so I'm not going to waste the time. But
it's probably worse right now. It's probably worse over there right now anyway. I just saw the Religion of Peace stab somebody over there just a couple days ago. So
I think that's why they're trying to do this, right? Is to get, you know what I mean? I think that's why they're offering this to try to get even half Italians like myself to come back and save the country. I swear to God, it's got to be why they're doing it. I don't know why else are they doing this?
Well, their birth rate is 1.2.
Oh my God, it's even worse.
Yeah, that was 1.2 was 15 years ago. and
Wow.
they're dead. They're a dead nation. And they brought in all their replacements, as we're doing too. And I think, Mike, you make a great point. As a law enforcement guy, I have to ask myself, why is crime rising? Why are we have flock cameras? Has anybody ever asked why? No one asked. Everyone's pissed about it, but no one asked why. Well, their answer to why is because we have all of these illiterate third worlders that are committing heinous crimes across America. They're the ones that are doing drunk driving. They're the ones that are hit and run. Listen, I was back with ICE. I can't tell you how many people that I arrested that had multiple DUIs, multiple crash and burns, multiple everything. When you multiply that times millions, we're talking about minimum, guys, minimum. At least 100 million crimes are committed every year against Americans from illegal aliens. 100 million minimum. Think of what I'm just talking about here. Think of why do you think your healthcare costs so much? Why do you think your house costs? Everyone says we have a housing crisis. No, we don't. We have a foreigner problem. If I removed 125 million people tomorrow, do you think we'd have a housing shortage? You think we'd have a inflated real estate market? No, we wouldn't. Do you think if I removed 125 million people that are getting free healthcare, that our healthcare would not decrease overnight, the cost and the affordability and the accessibility? If I removed all these people, we don't have traffic anymore. We don't have overcrowded schools. And I'll give you a great example before I turn it back over to you. Greg Bovino, everywhere he went with his Border Patrol crew and was arresting all those people, every city he went to, at least 30 to 50% of the schools were empty. 30 to 50% of the schools were
like
empty.
Chicago. Yeah.
Yes, that means that the almost 50% of our total school population are illegal aliens. Think of that. Think of that. You think your child would do better in a classroom with 35 people, with 20 of them speak Spanish and Farsi and all that? Or do you think your child would do better in a classroom with 17 and all of them spoke English and all of them were not functionally retarded?
No.
JJ, come on now. Diversity makes us stronger.
I know. I realize that. Diversity is our strength, Terry. Diversity is our strength.
Right? Like any country, the most diverse are the strongest in the world. Right? Isn't that true?
It's definitely not unity, that's for sure.
No. And
another thing, and you know this, being in law enforcement, and because I have a bunch of friends in the Chicago Police Department, right? And so I just learned, and it wasn't a surprise, and I think you'll attest to this, is that they say the crime rate's coming down in Chicago, right? It's all bullshit. Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, they're not even arresting many of these illegals, right? Especially during the crisis, JJ, right? All the FOIAs I got. And then when they're arresting the legals or whoever, they're not even, and many times the cops aren't even charging them at the level of crime they should be charged at, right? Mm-hmm. They'll charge them at something lower. And then there's another step that I was at a party with my friends. One guy's a judge in Cook County. But then when they come so they don't get charged at the level they should, so it's lower. Then by the time they go in and they go to court and they have a state's attorney, then they plea it down even lower. You know what I mean? So then what he's convicted should be up here, but it comes out here, and then they say, oh, yeah, the crime rates are going down, and it's bullshit, to your point. It's all fucking lies. And they're doing that on purpose. So the politicians and Johnson look like they're doing their job, so he could be on the news and say, well, the crime rate's going down.
Yeah, everything that you see, state, local, and federal, in law enforcement data is all a lie.
Yeah.
It's just a lie.
This is a little off topic, but closely related. I got a video. Are you familiar with this video? It's kind of been going viral about the bottom 2%. Have either of you guys seen this? Asmongold brought it up. It's really interesting. It's basically like, and this goes across. It's looking at all crime is committed by the bottom 2%. The left worries about the top 1% all the time. That's their talking point. Terry, do we got time? I might run this video real quick and you guys respond. It's a little over a minute long, but it's really interesting. All right, let's roll this.
If you remove the top 2% of society, the entire society would collapse. Every business owner would be gone. Every business leader would be gone. Every political thought leader would be gone, almost. Basically anybody in any leadership position that's making any decisions that are important would all be gone, and your country would turn into immediate chaos. That's what would happen if you remove the top 2% of society. If you remove the bottom 2% of society and they just immediately tomorrow they went to the moon, they're gone. I'm not talking about killing anybody. They just immediately disappeared. Do you know what would happen? Every aspect of your life would immediately improve. There would be less need for plexiglass cases in CVS. Your insurance premiums would go down because they're the ones that are speeding and committing crimes. The healthcare costs that you would have would also go down because they don't have to be offset by a bunch of fat, retarded pigs that can't stop eating. You would have lower taxes in a lot of cases because you wouldn't have to pay for as much law enforcement and micromanagement for these functional animals. And fundamentally, you would live in a safer and a better society in every single facet. If the bottom 2% simply were gone. And that's the difference between the top 2% and the bottom 2%. The top 2% have some positives and they have some negatives. The bottom 2%, there are no positives. There's nothing redeeming about them.
True.
There's nothing good about them. There's nothing beneficial to them.
Well, you made me think of something. And JJ, I'm coming out about my background. Now, when I did your show, or when we were driving around, remember I was talking to Ryan about my background.
Yeah.
And he's filming. I'm like, holy shit! But now I'm coming out. I'm doing a show on it and stuff. Right now,
Good.
I'm not proud of who I was. I say, I'm proud of who I am. Everything I did, right? But I was fortunate enough to move up the food chain. I worked for, I became a 1%er. Income wise, not criminal wise. I became, and changed my life, and the taxes and stuff. So I go from South Side Italian, Democrat, Union family, and I'm getting raped on the taxes, right? And just raped, right? And unless you have a business, and then so then when I got there and I see the Democrats and these leftists, and even some of my friends talk about it, oh, they don't pay their fair share. You don't pay your fair share. I'm giving away over 50% of my fucking money, right? And the people, half of the country doesn't pay any federal income
They
tax.
get subsidized.
Half the country. And you know what? Who uses up most of the services? The people that pay nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The people that pay nothing use up the most of the services. More importantly, they don't pay nothing towards contributing, and they bitch more than anybody. Those that don't contribute the most, they use the most, and they bitch the most to try to demonize us and say we don't pay our fair share for these bastards who are not even paying anything.
Well, what if we just stop doing it? What if we stop being that? That's the only way. Here's the thing that drives me crazy. We're talking about 2% of the population. We're not saying that 60%. We got to fight it back. It's 2% of the population is screwing our nation. Then just put them in cages. I'm okay with that. Put them in cages, offer them a one-way ticket to some third world crap hole, and get them out. If you're unproductive, this is like my son and I tell my son, he's going to be 15. I say, listen, son, if I have somebody I can understand a man commits a crime, and then he maybe commits the second crime, and then he's like, okay, I got to change my life. But if the guy's committed 3, 4, 10, 20, 40, 50, 100 crimes, when in God's name do we say you're in a cage? You're in a cage for the rest of your life.
Terry, how many times was this animal that set the lady on fire on the L train in Chicago arrested? Was it 72 or 76?
Yeah, it was some ridiculous, crazy amount, right? I mean, that's bullshit for anybody to let a man like that out of prison.
But
they should have set the judge on fire.
Yeah, well, that's what needs to happen. When this starts, let me tell you something. Something happens to my wife or my son by some savage, I'm going to do the terminal list. I'm going to work my way all the way up from the savage, all the way up to the judge and the politician, and I'm going to deep six them. I am. That's the only way that's going to happen.
Yeah, like what, my twins are freshmen in high school. And I like them to be in. I don't want to be like this concerned over. They take the train downtown, JJ. I'm like, I don't want you guys doing that. My son's like, he sees dad on my day. But I'm like, first of all, you're not me. You didn't grow up like me. Secondly, it doesn't even mean if you grew up like me. These guys, everybody had, all these scumbags are drug addicts. They have guns and knives. Yep. It's not like when I was your age. They didn't have. Very rarely somebody had a gun, right? Now all these creeps have guns and they're drugged out. They're on the train. It's not the same. And don't sit there and think you're too naive. You were raised in the western suburbs, right? Where there's nothing to be worried about. And I don't want my kids going there. I don't want my kid went to the beach. He just had shoulders. I go, I don't want you going. That's where all those Venezuelans are going. JJ, I'm like, I don't want you going there, Anthony. Oh, don't worry, I'll be fine. I'm like, no, you won't, man.
Look at what we've done.
So they affected our future, our children, our well-being. To go downtown Chicago, to have dinner with your wife, to go to the beach, to go to a museum, to do all this shit that you have to worry about now for what? Because Democrats want more votes?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. But here's the thing, Terry, but we got to make sure as my time's coming up, who funded the last 2 years of Joe Biden's treason, Terry? It was the Republican Party. The Republican Party funded the entire request, and it gets worse. Speaker Johnson gave more money to the Democrats than they asked for, Terry, that they asked for. So this is a Republican and Democrat. Our government is no longer a republic. Our government is some quasi-tyrannical bull crap.
Yep.
I don't know how we get out of this, except I don't want this. I'm not advocating for it, but I don't see how we get out of this mess unless it's kinetic. There's no other way.
Agree with you. So I agree, Jay, I'm glad you said that. I agree with you 100%, right? But I don't, people are, I'll fight. Listen, our side's too soft, JJ.
We're not organized.
If there's a war, you're going to have outside influences from the Russians, the Chinese. They're going to arm all these scumbag, illiterate creeps and illegals and stuff. And we're going to have, the millennial and the guy with a nice, beautiful, shiny, AR-15 all polished in his closet, scared to touch it.
I don't think it's going to happen like that. I think it's going to. What's happening right now is the balkanization of the United States of America, and I see before the quote, it won't be a civil war, it'll be a revolution. You're going to see the America split apart. There's no other way around.
I hope that does, and I want to move to Texas. I hope
you're going to be behind enemy lines. You're going to be stuck in blue with giant fat Pritzker and Johnson, who is absolutely functionally retarded. So you're going to live in that world, and what's going to happen is that world is going to collapse because it always does. It's going to collapse, and they're going to want what we have in the red states, and we're going to have borders. We're going to have militias. We're going to have men that have been in law enforcement, military, that are going to be organized, and nobody with the right mind is going to step over on our side without getting plinked. And unfortunately, that's what I see is going to happen. But that was a fast 45 minutes. I could talk to you guys for another 4 hours.
So we got to get you back on here soon.
Hey, JJ, do you want to push any of your books? And I want to have you come back and talk about this, your documentary and our little drive for a couple days, the Venezuelans and some of that crazy stuff, which is something I'll remember forever. And I want to ask you one other question too: is did you ever see that guy from 15 years ago that did the gumball analogy of immigration?
It's brilliant.
You're off, I don't know if you saw it, Mike. After you're done, I want my audience to see it because this was done 15 years ago. I sent it to you, Mike. So
I'm working on it now.
You just go to Google. Buddy? Yeah, go to Google and just type in immigration gumball. I write about that in my book, Invaded. The best way to find me is just go to my website, my name that's on there, and just .com, jjcarroll.com. Terry should be. I know Terry is reformed, but if you've ever seen Terry drive, he should be a felon again. He should be. Not a misdemeanor, not a citation. I'm talking about San Quentin. He goes for 50 years. Just for driving one time with Terry, I thought, dear God, what? I'm going to die. I'm not going to die in South Side of Chicago. I'm going to die by this idiot driving. And
it's the old chop shop days.
Guys, thank you so much.
See you, JJ. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, JJ.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Great American, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
I love him, man. He was great. We had a fun 2 days. It's funny. He was getting all nervous. I do U-turn. We're in the south side of Chicago. We're right in the middle, and south, Oh, he's like, holy shit, we're going to get killed. I'm like, don't worry about it. And I told a story, and I think I told the story in the interview I did about chapter 1 of my life, right, with the crime and stuff. So I work with these guys that were stealing cars, chop shop guys. And I would drive the car when they pull it. So we'd have a certain car, a make and model, color we have to go drive around and find. And the one guy Dante. I'll just use his first name, which is really Dante. And he would be the guy that goes in with the Slim Jim and fucking, and I go up and down. I'm driving. He's like, oh, geez, stop. Oh, my God, I'm going to throw up. You're getting me car sick. I'm like, oh, big mobster is getting a puke from driving around a parking lot. So I do drive fast, even after this many years. So I want to show this gumball.
Yeah, it's going to be about another. It's still downloading. All this YouTube stuff takes.
Yeah, so this for those of you who have not seen this, you're going to really appreciate it. It's about 5 minutes or so. And this guy, I don't know if he's a scientist or whatever. He's going to show you how the effect of immigration 15 years ago. Now, remember, we just had a flood of the low end 20, the high end 40, right? So
yeah, I think 30, it's 40,
right? Yeah. So let's say we're not fucking liars here, right? Let's say 30 million, right? So kind of replicate that based on the numbers this guy's showing us, right? And bringing a lot of these Muslims in that multiply more so than the Hispanics and some of these other folks, right? And they come in here, and you got to remember, each baby's a paycheck. Ba-ding, 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 right? Every baby is a paycheck to them, and they know how to play our system, right? And so we have to, how many people have to pay taxes for some Muslim family that comes over here and say he has 5 kids, right? And we have to support that whole family. So how many people have to contribute their little portions of their taxes to pay for their housing, their food, their health care, their medical? When their oldest son gets old enough to get arrested, we got to pay for him to go to prison. It's a joke. That's pretty true, though, right? Think about how many people have to contribute their little pieces of their taxes, while at the same time, 50% of these fuckers don't pay taxes, right?
Yeah.
That burden's falling on our shoulders. So you guys got to wake up and understand how this is affecting the future of our children and our country, right?
Yeah. This video is almost downloaded, but it's everything. It's also the multi-generational welfare households where this is a way of life. You can't have that anymore. You can't have these societal parasites. Again, I have no problem helping somebody that is really permanently disabled, really cannot work. That's a totally different story. But it's also the medical industry where they write people up because, they're 600 pounds and they can't put down the cheeseburgers. That's why they can't work. This all has to stop. We have to start taking things seriously. We have to have, as a society, we have to have a certain level of minimal expectations of people. And again, I'm not talking about people that really, for a legitimate reason, can't do it on their own. But everybody else, if you don't want to work and you're just a fat ass, well, sorry, we're not going to feed you anymore. You're going to have to get your shit together or find somebody to subsidize you.
So any of you guys that are in IT now, Mike, IT's changed a lot. So when you do projects and these big projects, now they do smaller. They call MVP, minimal viable product, right? Minimum viable product, right? So when you're building something out, we're going to have minimum viable person.
People. Yeah.
Or people. If they don't fit that, we got to get rid of them. Get them the fuck out of here. If they don't fit the MVP, gone.
Yeah. Maybe we can find somebody else to take them. Maybe we can send them to Italy.
Yeah. So you guys hold on. You got to watch this gumball thing. It's going to scare the shit out of you.
It's got about 15% left. It's working on it. I don't know why it's downloading so slow.
Yeah. So this guy's going to talk about, again, about 15 years ago, I think. Maybe more. Actually, maybe more. And he's going to explain immigration.
I've seen this forever ago. This is Roy Beck from Numbers USA.
Yeah, I haven't seen it for ages. I came across it as I was looking around for the show, and I'm like, I didn't even rewatch it. I'm like, holy shit, that stuck in my memory from 15, 20 years ago. It's like, holy cow. But you're thinking, oh, no, but it's not happening here. Oh, my God, it's worse than when this guy first made it. Worse.
Dude, that's why I've been thinking about this 2% video. Like, that went viral several days ago now.
It was.
Yeah, but I mean, he makes a point. Why do we let this bottom rung of society? It's just like these numbers that came up when they were doing the cleanup in D.C. when they started doing the arrest there when they brought in the National Guard. Somebody pulled the data and it was like 680 people were responsible for the vast majority of the violent crime in the entire city. Why aren't those people personally, I would just take them out behind the jail, shoot them next to the chemical shed. But why aren't they in a cell under the jail, never to see the light of day again? If you're You know, one of the things California had right back in the day was this 3-strike policy that if you commit 3 violent crimes, and you're convicted on the 3rd, you go to jail, they lock you up, they throw away the key, you never get out. Like, there's some sense to that. Like, you know, I think if there was somebody that, you know, they did some stupid stuff when they were younger, they got arrested twice, and then it's 40 years later and they're getting arrested again, maybe give them one more chance.
Wait, are you saying that for me, buddy? Are you trying to be nice? Yes, you are.
Well, anybody though, you know.
I
thought you had one for some reason, but you know what I'm saying is, like, somebody that screwed up as a kid, and then, like, let's say they, you know, because this was why they got rid of it, was people that, you know, maybe they have a domestic, they're going through a divorce, now they're 50 years old, and then all of a sudden, well, that's your 3rd strike now. You know, that's not the person that needs to be buried under the jail, but the person that can't learn. You know,
they made a big, you know, like in my 20s, I sold a half a dozen hand grenades like it's a federal offense. They made a big deal about it.
Why would they do that? I mean,
joke.
It's all the time.
Probably not a taste. It's a probably tasteless joke, but it's a joke. I've been good for 35 years.
Hey, you know what? Better to be able to laugh about it than not. All right, this video just downloaded, so give me a second. I'm getting it set up now.
Don't leave. You got to watch this. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. It's gonna scare you because what he's showing you is way worse now with the gumball explosion.
Yep. All right. About another 15 seconds, and it'll be ready to rock.
You know any good jokes?
How come Mexico never has any good Olympic teams?
Why?
All the ones that can run, jump, or swim are already in the U.S.
This is a joke from high school. What's a Mexican picnic?
I don't know.
Spicnic.
That's terrible. All right, let me see if this runs. Oh, it's not playing. Hang on. Let me try this one more time.
Oh, no. You guys, I'm sorry. The gumball thing. I just sent it to Mike when JJ was talking, so it's my fault.
Yeah, no worries. Let me try one other thing. Let me get it to run.
Look up Google gumball immigration.
That's what I'm about to do.
And yeah, maybe you could do it on YouTube. Just play it.
Oh, yeah, let me try that. I can try. We get some sound issues. Yeah, let me try it real quick. I get some sound issues a lot of time. That's why I don't usually do that. And let me get past the commercial first.
So what he's trying to do is I sent it to him, download it, and then he's going to upload it to show you guys. But he could probably just show it from YouTube and play it. Maybe the quality of the audio might not be quite as good, but you'll be able to hear it well. So please don't leave. You're going to love it.
All right, I think I got it working.
Get another beer.
Yeah, I think I got it working. So just give me a second here. Switch this up so that it's the right screen.
I did hear from Alveda King's Booker. So Martin Luther King's niece is coming on our show. Right when we were jumping on the show. And we're going to coordinate to have her on here, which I'm very, very, very honored to have her on here. I saw her when I was at the Jim Jordan judiciary hearings with the CEO of SPLC, which they had her sitting right next to him, which was kind of like an FU, right? And I was sitting like 5 feet to his left, a little bit behind him. Moms for Liberty were right behind him. And I didn't say anything to him until after I got his ass in the hallway. And I was kind of bummed because there was no like real media, right? I'm like fake media, but there was no real media that was confronting him in the hallway. And I confronted him. And I said, if you guys are against hate, why are you employing Antifa? Why do you hire Antifa to work for you? They're coming after, you know, they actually went after Alveda King. They called her racist, right? They go after gays against groomers, anti-gay. They go after Moms for Liberty, Moms for my group, parents involved in education. And they attack us. And then they hire Antifa and BLM members, which is absurd. How are we doing, Mike?
All right, I think I got this working. Guys, just advance warning. Sorry if the audio is a little down and doesn't quite track right. That's why I don't play videos off YouTube usually. But here we go.
Some people say that mass immigration into the United States can help reduce world poverty. Is that true? Well, no, it's not. And let me show you why. This gumball represents the 1 million legal immigrants that the United States has taken every year on average since 1990. Now, who in the world deserves our humanitarian compassion. The World Bank has one measure of the desperately poor of the world. They make less than $2 a day. And how many people make less than $2 a day in the world? Well, let's start with Africa. In Africa alone, there are 650 million people who make less than $2 a day. 650 million. And in India, another 890 million people, desperately poor. China adds another 480 million people, making less than $2 a day. And unfortunately, the rest of Asia has a heartbreaking 810 million people who the World Bank says make less than $2 a day. And finally, there's 105 million of Latin America's population that are desperately poor. All told, the World Bank says there are 3 billion people in the world. 3 billion people who are desperately poor, making less than $2 a day. That's 3,000 gumballs. And every year, we take 1 million and suggest that we've somehow made a humanitarian difference. Of course, we don't pull our immigrants from these desperately poor populations, do we? These people are too poor, too sick, too disconnected to make it here as immigrants. We tend to pull our immigrants out of the better off poor of the world. And Mexico tends to define the type of immigrant that we bring here because the plurality of people come from Mexico. And Mexico is poor. How many people in the world live in countries that have average incomes lower than that of Mexico? And the World Bank tells us that that number is these 3 billion plus another 2.6 billion people. 5.6 billion people in the world who live in countries with average incomes below that of Mexico. That's 5,600 gumballs. And so what is it that the elites are telling us? They're telling us that when we take this 1 million immigrants, that we somehow or another are tackling world poverty. And we have to do it regardless of the effect on our unemployed, the working poor, the most vulnerable members of our society, regardless of the effect on our natural resources. Even if we went by the most radical proposals in Washington, which are to actually double our immigration to 2 million a year, which would totally overwhelm our physical, natural, and social infrastructures, we couldn't make a noticeable difference. And we may be really hurting the impoverished people of the world because the million that we do take are among the most energetic, often the better educated, certainly the most dissatisfied people that if they did not immigrate would be the agents for change to improve the lot of all the people in these countries. The true heroes in the global humanitarian field are the people in these countries who have the wherewithal to immigrate to another country, but instead stay in their countries to apply their skills to help their fellow countrymen. Unfortunately, our immigration system tends to entice these very type of people to abandon their countrymen. The impossibility of making even a dent is actually worse than it looks here. Because last year, when we took 1 million immigrants, these countries added births over deaths, 80 million more people into the impoverished populations. And this year, Congress is bringing in 1 million legal immigrants. And this year, according to the United Nations, these countries are expected to add another 80 million people. And next year, you can be quite sure that Congress, unless stopped by the American voters, will bring in another 1 million immigrants. And these countries, unfortunately, will be adding another 80 million people into these impoverished nations. We could take 5 million a year, but we'd never get ahead of what's happening in these countries. Not in this century. Don't you see? Immigration can never be an effective or significant way to deal with the suffering people of the world. They have to be helped where they live. 99.9% of them will never be able to immigrate to a rich country. There's no hope for that. They have to bloom where they're planted. The only place that 99.9% of these people can be helped is where they live. Let's help them there.
So that was pretty interesting, right? I mean, the liberals are saying we ain't helping shit in those countries, right? I mean,
well, yeah, he's right too. Like, we can't. That's part of the problem. It is. Yeah. The math doesn't work out.
And those numbers. So remember, he's talking about 1 million, right? Million. That was before, right? And then when he was talking about 1 million, I think historically we would allow about 1 million legally to come in every year, right, Mike? I mean, you're the better with the number. So that's what he was talking about when he was referencing 1 million. He didn't reference the illegals. He was referencing the legals that we would let in vet, right? So now, if you see what JJ just talked about, it's like 30, 40 million. I mean, Jesus Christ, and think about that and think about how many kids they're having. It's overwhelming. So you guys got to wake up. You got to help us. You know, you got to share the message with, your friends. You got to wake them up, because people don't see this stuff on the news. And you're not a racist. You're not a white supremacist to say you're concerned with the overwhelming immigration of third world countries coming into your backyard, into your schools, into the criminal system, taking from people we can't even afford to take care of in our own country. And then have to take the burden and bear the burden of these people, and they're replicating more children like bunnies that we have to take care of. It just doesn't make sense. And we will, without a doubt, collapse on ourselves. So, Mike, why don't you do the closing statement?
Exactly. And if we collapse, then there will be no beacon of freedom for the rest of the world. But yes, thank you guys for joining us tonight. Please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. And we'll be back next week with even more. Thanks again, guys. We're back on Thursday with more. Man,